It's time for another 5-minute story challenge, and this time it's from my patrons. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. It's Naje Miles George. I hope I've got that right. Okay, the name is Lewis. The phrase is just like that. The occupation is a researcher in biology. Object is a computer, and location is a bookstore in California. Good, specific. California. Just like that. Huh. Unusual. Normally I already get a quick idea for dark thought or plot straight away, but I haven't got one now, so this is going to be challenging, I think. Oh, and I've already started it. 5 minutes. Let's start now. Oh, I hit pause by mistake. Okay, there we are. That's that done. Just finish off a little bit here. Okay, right. So that was probably about 8 minutes, not the 5 minutes. But I actually struggled with that one for a bit. So here we go. I don't know if you can read this. This is how I do it. For some reason, when I write these stories, I always start in the center, and then I have to turn the page this way, and I go and I write upside down around here and there, and I go that way. Just how I do it when I'm doing it quickly. So, to remind you, the name was Lewis, the phrase was just like that, the location was a bookstore in California, occupation was research in biology, and the object was a computer. I've changed that to sort of cash till. Right. So Lewis was a very shy man. He worked part-time in a bookstore in California, and the rest of his time he was a researcher in biology. Very smart, but quite introverted. And he loved reading and a small group of friends. He didn't have much social life because he spent most of his time studying in his research. But he lived for his Wednesday nights, which was Dungeons and Dragons night, D&D night, and he was the dungeon master. And he came up with these great stories and these great scenarios, and his friends loved it. And there was a girl who came in, and every week she'd buy a new book, and he was a shy guy, and she was super attractive, which made him even more almost awkward in front of her. But she was so friendly and smiley, and she came every week, and they'd start conversation over time just through familiarity. He'd start making jokes with her and making recommendations, and he got to look forward to whenever she'd come in, and he kind of thought she did the same too. If he would tell his friends, he'd say he was working up the confidence to ask her out, but the truth be told, he probably would never have done it, if not for what happened next. She came in one day, and she was wearing a hoodie with Dungeons and Dragons on it, and he thought, oh, this is great. It's not creepy at all. I can ask her as a friend if she wants to join the Dungeons and Dragons group. She can meet my friends, and they all get on, and this could be a way to get to know her and maybe ask her out properly. This is very exciting. Only, before he could do anything, a very good-looking guy comes in and sees her, says hello to him, and sees her and says, she's hot, and walks over to talk to her. Immediately, Lewis doesn't like this guy for saying that, and he talks to her, and just like that, starts up a conversation, something that Lewis could never normally do. And he asks her out in an obnoxious way, as if he's doing her a favor to go out with him, this guy. And she says yes. And Lewis thinking, this guy's a dick, why would you do this? And as she says yes, she looks across at Lewis and almost sadly just glances across and says, "I haven't had any other offers, so yes, I'll go." And they leave. And Lewis is furious. The more he thinks about it, he's shocked, disappointed, surprised, but angry. He knows that the guy is bad for her, and more importantly, she's mine, he thought. For the first time in his life, he felt this fire inside of him. He's a very gentle guy normally. And he doesn't know why, but that night, whenever he goes to do his research, he starts looking up poisons. Because he sees the guy. This is where I sort of ran out of time for a bit. But what I do is that in the story he'd see the guy a few times, and the guy would always be making comments about the girl or belittling her in some way, and it would annoy Lewis enough that he makes a poison for him. And the girl, he's not going to do too much, just give him a little bit. But the guy is so rude about how he's going to try and tap that tonight or something, and Lewis just gives him a big dose. He thought, you cannot treat her that way. And at the same time when he leaves, he actually asks her. So she comes in another day, and he's not with her, and he asks her how the date went. She went, "Not great, but I'll probably go out with him again." And he goes, "No, look, sorry to say this, you can do better. Why don't you go out with me?" And she looks at him with a smile on his face and says, "All right." And they go out and they have a date and they have a really good time. And actually do, and he actually gets her laughing a lot. He for some reason, the anger overcomes all the nerves, and then he becomes relaxed and fun, his normal self, and they have a great time. And then she admits that I have to admit, that guy who's there, he was right. And Lewis immediately changes. What do you mean he was right? Well, the thing is, I've kind of been flirting with you for a while. I was hoping you'd ask me out, and you never did. So he's my friend, or I was going to actually write brother. And he played a role. He's an actor, and he said that if the guy sees someone else asking out a girl he likes, it would annoy him enough to motivate him to do something about it. I didn't really think it would work, but it worked, and you asked me out. It's a secret I had, but yeah. And then Lewis is horrified that her friend, or brother, is one who's poisoned. And he asks her, "How is she?" He goes, "I don't know, I haven't heard from him in a few days. It's very unusual. But I'm sure he's fine." So that's where I go with that story. I hope you like it. I didn't get it quite as much of a twist as I wanted. So that he basically poisons the wrong person. Who poisons someone who's doing him a favour. That's where I was going with that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the 5-minute challenge, and thanks for your support on Patreon. Yes, bye bye.